change, I will be reading my statement as opposed to winging it, because I think that the issues that we are discussing today are too important for me to get cued on. So, is everybody ready with the press? So thank you again for coming. Let me say hello to the Zambian people. And let us first acknowledge today World AIDS Day, which will be celebrated tomorrow in Zambia. We highlighted this year's theme, Communities Make the Difference, last week at Mandevu with a huge, wonderful, and exceptionally welcoming group from Lusaka's largest constituency as we opened a clinic in the market. Many thanks to the PF supporters who professionally and kindly provided security for me, showing the benefit of these young men when they're not being sent on political errands. The American people have provided more than $4 billion in HIV/AIDS support in the last 15 years. Working closely with the Ministry of Health, we currently have well over 1 million Zambians on life-changing antiretroviral medicine, touching close to half of the families in your country. By knowing your HIV status and being on treatment if you're positive, which prevents transmission, the only difference between HIV negative and HIV positive is the medicine. Unfortunately, stigma and discrimination remain as our biggest mutual challenges in eradicating the AIDS epidemic. Discriminatory and homophobic laws under the false flags of Christianity and culture continue to kill innocent Zambians, many of whom were born with the virus. How more innocent could you be? Your citizens are terrified of being outed as HIV positive because of the inaccurate and archaic associations between HIV and homosexuality. Lamentably, I will be unable to attend tomorrow's AIDS Day events because of threats made against me via various media over my comments on the harsh sentencing of homosexuals. In full transparency, my job as the United States Ambassador is to promote the interests, ideals, and values of the United States of America. Zambia is one of the largest per capita recipients of U.S. assistance in the world at $500 million each year. In these countries where we contribute resources, this includes partnering in areas of mutual interest and holding the recipient government accountable for its responsibilities under this partnership. The U.S. government is far from perfect, and we always welcome feedback, including from Zambia through your embassy in Washington, D.C. If we didn't, we might not have changed our own repugnant laws allowing slavery and other human rights contraventions, historical misdeeds for which I now passionately apologize. I highly appreciate the exceptional welcome and friendship extended by Zambia's wonderful people throughout my 2 years here, and I have nothing but the highest respect for your citizens. I read with interest Honorable Minister Malandi's reaction to my opinion regarding the harsh sentencing of a same-sex couple and the hundreds of other comments made by Zambian citizens on media, largely social media. I was shocked at the venom and hate directed at me and my country, largely in the name of Christian values by a small minority of Zambians. I thought, perhaps incorrectly, that Christianity meant trying to live like our Lord Jesus Christ. I am certainly not qualified to sermonize, but I cannot imagine Jesus would have used comparisons to bestiality or referred to his fellow human beings as dogs or worse than animals, allusions made repeatedly by your countrymen and women about homosexuals. Targeting and marginalizing minorities, especially homosexuals, has been a warning signal of future atrocities by governments in many countries over the last 100 years. In my heart, I know that real Zambian values will not permit your country's inclusion on such a list ever. I agree completely that this issue is up to Zambians to decide. You are blessed with a diversity of Christian denominations as a Christian country. And while I understand that many of you are not Catholic, the best authority I was able to cite is Pope Francis. He has repeatedly spoken about the need for his church to welcome and love all people, regardless of sexual orientation. In 2016, the Pope said, "When a person arrives before Jesus, Jesus certainly will not say, 'Go away because you are homosexual.'" While I'm not here to litigate the foreign minister's statement or our bilateral disagreements point by point, I would like to share some U.S. perspectives directly before it's filtered through Zambia's state-controlled media houses. I agree that we should be working to improve critical problems like food insecurity and the electricity shortage. But Americans can't do it alone without cooperation from your government. The U.S. brought top energy experts to work with Zambian ministries for over 2 years, and we jointly developed a roadmap to reform the energy sector and ensure better electricity delivery to the people. This plan has been dormant for over a year because of domestic politics. We've also seen the awful impact of the drought. I expect to imminently announce additional American help for those Zambians most affected by hunger in the coming weeks. In my 2 years here in your wonderful country, I have strived to improve the U.S.-Zambia partnership with minimal success. Let us stop the facade that our governments enjoy warm and cordial relations. The current government of Zambia wants foreign diplomats to be compliant with open pocketbooks and closed mouths. Minister Malanji reminded me that I have always been granted audience to the ministry and the government of Zambia. That is not the case. With few exceptions, the United States President's personal representative to Zambia, who happens to be me, has been relegated to meeting with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs at the permanent secretary level. Despite $500 million in annual American debt-free support to the Zambian people, I have been granted exclusive bilateral audience with the president only 5 times in 2 years, usually with delays of months upon my request, and little action of mutual interest has been taken by State House. Last week, we rearranged my schedule, and I'm somewhat busy administrating $500 million in our annual programs here to meet with the president on Friday. On Friday, State House told me to come Saturday, a day already filled with rescheduled meetings. That is not mutual respect. Both the American taxpayers and Zambian citizens deserve a privileged two-way partnership, not a one-way donation that works out to $200 million per meeting with the head of state. Foreign Minister also accused me of interfering with Zambia's internal affairs, as he has done each time any foreign diplomat accredited to Zambia offers an opinion different to that of the current Zambian government, and of questioning the Zambian constitution. Yesterday, I just reread Zambia's entire constitution, all 110 pages. And I believe it's an exceptionally admirable document. There's no reference to having sex against the order of nature, or homosexuality for that matter. Your constitution does declare, however, to uphold a person's right to freedom of conscience, belief, or religion, the human rights and fundamental freedoms of every person, to respect the diversity of the different communities of Zambia, and to promote and protect the rights and freedoms of a person. It is up to you, Zambian citizens, and the courts to decide if your laws correspond to your constitution. But your constitution itself provides every person the right to freedom and expression of conscience and belief. I expressed my belief about a law and a harsh sentencing I don't agree with. I didn't interfere in internal affairs. When considering the status of Zambia's very independent judiciary, as quoted from Minister Malanji, I note the president's strong recurring statements from July through yesterday, rejecting homosexual rights and gayism. I wonder if that could have any impact on the independent courts. Again, this is a matter for the Zambian people to decide, but the Zambian people deserve transparency and truth. Regarding the minister's denials over my comments about government officials stealing millions of dollars in public funds, the government always requests evidence of such misdeeds. Is that really the role of the international community? In recent history, numerous donor partners to Zambia have carried out investigations with the cooperation of the Zambian government, concluding that many millions of dollars were misappropriated in the ministries of community development and social welfare, education, and health. In most cases, the Zambian government assumed responsibility and quietly made restitution to the donating organizations from public funds. However, just like the lack of public information made available on Zambia's debt acquired over the past few years, the government has chosen not to share this vital data on restitution with its citizens, nor have we seen assertive corruption prosecutions. If this happened with funds from a handful of donors in a few ministries, what could be happening on a broader scale? Hundreds, maybe thousands of Zambian citizens have expressed despair to me about sharing conflicting opinions, fearing intimidation, imprisonment, physical assault, closure of media houses, etc. Examples of which are all well documented in recent years. These dissenting opinions are certainly not shared by state-controlled media such as ZNBC, The Mail, and The Times. It's time to advocate for a real voice for all Zambians and uphold every person's right to freedom of conscience and belief. I have consistently pledged that it's not my place to tell Zambia what to do, but I've also asserted that I would always be honest and frank. The exceptional yearly assistance from American to Zambian citizens and the Constitution of Zambia should enable all of us to express our opinions without acrimonious accusations or actions. I hope the government of Zambia commits to improve its decaying relationship with the United States, but that is a decision for them to make. Thank you for letting me make remarks. I will take 3 questions, and I'd ask you to make them one-part questions because I'm not smart enough to do 3 multi-part questions.
So we have a roving microphone. Again, please keep your questions concise. When you ask your questions, please state your name, the name of your media outlet, and your concise question. Thank you.
John, I'll let you kind of police the questions.
You can see the buses. I can't see them.
In the second row here.
Okay.
Good.
Good morning, Your Excellency.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Stephen Mbula from the Zambia Daily Mail,
And Steve.
the best newspaper in the country.
Yeah.
Your Excellency, based on what you've said, do we see your government cutting aid to Zambia in these other areas that you mentioned? Because you consistently say the US is really helping Zambia, and as a result, they have the right to question or hold us, or hold our government accountable on certain decisions that are made. Thank you.
I thank you, Stephen, for that question. About a year ago, the government of the government of Zambia broke international migration conventions by the refoulement of Zimbabwe opposition leader Tendai Biti, who requested asylum here and was not provided the processes and appeals that should be available to all asylum seekers. At that time, I was advised by policymakers in Washington that we would review U.S. assistance to Zambia. That review is ongoing. I don't want to make today about foreign assistance, but obviously over time, if we are in a country, and we've done great things together in Zambia, and Zambians and Americans should all be proud of what we've done, particularly in the health sector. But I want to give the government of Zambia the opportunity to renew and rejuvenate its partnership with the United States. However, over time, and it's been 2 years for me, if you see that someone is not cooperating, I think the natural inclination would be that assistance levels could change. Thank you.
Second question.
Thank you very much. My name is James Chizu from Prime TV. You have said a number of issues and a number of things. You talked about the mutual respect between the two countries. That's something important for Zambia. And then you have only come out like this because of maybe that was that statement that was made. So it's coming out as if it's because of homosexual statements that you are saying Zambia is behaving like that. But however, my interest is in what you say you don't feel safe and you're not going to attend the World AIDS Day because you're living under threat. So what is going to happen and how are you going to conduct your work? What will really happen to you? What will America do about it? Will you do your job here as an ambassador? Will you under threat? Or what happens?
Okay, thank you. First on the first part, I didn't say I don't feel safe. I said that we have received threats against me, and we've learned over the years to take all threats seriously. I don't think the Zambian people want to harm me, but there could be crazy people out there. So tomorrow doesn't give us the opportunity and the venue to ensure my security, but I will continue to do my job in Zambia. I'm not going to hide in an armored building or an armored car. But given the short time frame and the inappropriate threats that we have to track down and run down, that's not going to affect my desire or ability to do my job. And going back to the first part of your statement, I tried so hard understanding the controversy of the same-sex issue in Zambia, not to make this a signature issue. Since July, President Lungu at every opportunity has come out strongly against the rights of people of the same sex to love and be with each other. And I've ignored it, and I've ignored it, and I've ignored it. And then last week in both state papers, the banner headline was something like, gays sentenced to 15 years. And I saw that as an attempt, and granted, you have your laws, and I respect your laws. I don't have to agree with your laws, and I'm able to express my dissent with your laws. That's part of your Constitution. But I saw this giant headline, gays sentenced to 15 years, as the government kind of pounding its chest and said, see, we don't allow this, and intimidating the 10% of your population that was born homosexual. So we have had these other bilateral issues churning over the past many months. And it was only, and we've tried to solve them, and we could have solved them behind closed doors. But the government of Zambia chose not to do so. And Minister Malanji chose to have a public fight about my comments, my opinion. And so now it's time to advocate for truth, openness, and freedom here in Zambia. If nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. And whatever the consequences might be. Thank you.
All right, final question, gentleman over here, and name, media organization, and quick question. Oh, sorry.
A very quick question, like he has rightly put it now. I'm Mukwe Machilara from the Daily Nation. Having highlighted everything that the just from updating the nation and telling us, how would you describe the relations between the US and the Zambian government in a nutshell? Thank you.
Strained. And I will elaborate a little bit. Since I've been here, it's been a one-way street. Zambia, the government of Zambia is happy for us to come in and pay for the majority of the health sector in Zambia, to do our work on economic development and prosperity, conservation, support Zambia's great work with refugees and peacekeeping, etc. The Zambian government is happy to do that. I have found State House, and let me on the record state that I have excellent relationships with a number of ministers here. particularly the Minister of Health and others, and they have been wonderful and appreciative. The overall Zambian government's approach to U.S. assistance has been incredibly unappreciative and arrogant. And that is not the way you treat your bilateral friends. And I know that they're not going to be happy to hear this, but I told you I would be frank and honest. And I fear that they worry that the United States is going to tell them what to do. We're not going to tell them what to do, but we're going to hold them accountable for a real partnership. And we are going to express our opinions when we see things that are inappropriate, either to their responsibilities under this partnership or to Zambia's own constitution. I think they thought that I would be compliant, open pocketbook, closed mouth, and that would be the end of it. But the United States is a nation that provides assistance to many developing countries in the world. And we do that first for U.S. interests. If Zambian people are healthy, people in the region are healthy, and diseases such as HIV, malaria, tuberculosis tend not to get imported into the United States. So we share values there. If Zambia is a stable, secure country, then we tend to have stability and security in the region. If Zambia enjoys economic growth and inclusive progress, then that affects the whole world, including the United States. So we have a lot of shared interests, but the level of cooperation from the government of Zambia during my 2 years has been less than acceptable. I thank you all for your time. I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I hope you all have a wonderful week and happy holidays. Thank you.